Okay, everybody, welcome to yet another Nova Scribes. My name is Brian. It's great to have you. Today, I'm super excited to introduce you to a very dear friend and colleague of mine, Rae Ringel. Rae and I have worked together for years. She is an executive coach, facilitator. She's a founder of the Ringel Group. She teaches facilitation and leadership at Georgetown University's Institute for Transformational Leadership and now the University of Virginia. More about that later. She's known for her engaging experiential style. Rae helps groups and leaders thrive in complexity through purpose, design, and presence. She's also a frequent contributor to the Harvard Business Review. Thanks to that co-authored article, I get to say that too. Wouldn't have been for Rae.
Mhm.
And I asked Rae to come to do a Nova Scribes for a couple of reasons, not the least of which is to talk about the new program at UVA. But before we do that, Rae, let me kick it over to you. You've got something else for us. What do you got?
I do. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to see you. I'm so happy to see some old friends here. And if we haven't met, you should know that to me, strangers are just friends I haven't met yet. So I look forward to getting to know you. And thanks for having me here. Let me just tell you a little bit about where we're going to go in this next hour. We're going to start off with, I'm going to just give you some content and we'll do some interactive stuff around purpose, specifically about our own purpose of facilitation now more than ever, and then a little bit about actual purpose when we're facilitating. So I want to start off with some techniques and skills and tools to offer you that you can use from the moment we get off of this call. And then spend a little bit of time telling you our exciting news about the executive certificate program that has transferred to University of Virginia and see if there's any interest or if you know people who may be interested. So that's where we're going. I'm going to start off with a PowerPoint here that I will make sure to upload and to get to you. I'm very open source. I'm very happy for you to take this and use it, make it your own. Give me attribution, don't give me attribution. We all have to be in this together. So I'm so glad to anything that I can help contribute. There will be, I want to say one thing there, you'll not see any graphic recordings in my background. And please don't judge me on my slides. I worked really hard on them because I know the group that I'm working with. So I'll be happy to take any feedback as long as it's positive. Just kidding. You can give me any feedback that you want. That was a joke. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to go ahead here and really start us off talking today about the concept of purpose and the power of purpose and why this matters. So again, personal purpose, facilitation purpose, purpose of the different things that we're designing and facilitating. Purpose might be my favorite topic out there. We are, again, going to really just talk about clarifying this, talking about specifically what is the purpose of facilitation now, maybe even more than ever before, as we are navigating these just wild times of change, of complexity, of ambiguity, of instability, and of opportunity. And how might facilitation play an even bigger role than it has before, given these really swirly times that we're in? So, we're going to talk about that and do some ideating together around that. And then finally, we'll end with a piece on talking about purpose as our North Star for design and facilitation, how nothing can really happen. We can't do any design work or any facilitation without a clear purpose. So I'll offer some tools. Some of them you may know and maybe review. Hopefully, some of them will be new, and we'll go from there. So I wanted to just start off with this concept, this quote. There used to be only two certainties in life, death and taxes. Now there is a third, change and continuous change at that, right? It's so simple and profound at the same time that the thing that, that we know for certain is that things are going to change. And depending on your threshold for change, whether that's personal change, environmental change, professional change, moving through change is difficult. And just when you think you have something down, all of a sudden it can change. So, how might we lean into the things that we can control because things are shifting and changing so much? So, I wanted to just start off naming this notion of we are still finding ourselves in a great period of change. I also want to mention that the primary characteristic of change is loss. And for any of you who've studied the works of Ron Heifetz or Marty Linsky or other people who really look at adaptive leadership, they talk about this a lot. And I'll just take a moment to read this quote out to you. In adaptive leadership, every meaningful change involves loss of habits, roles, relationships, or identity. It's not change people resist, it's the pain of letting go. Effective leaders name that loss, create space for it, and help people move through it, not around it, which I think is so powerful. It's a temptation is to move around it or shift away from it, but the only way that we can really effectively move through that loss is to go through it and allow ourselves to go through it. So I wanted to just start off with this context because I think this is very much where people are right now of trying to navigate change, trying to understand the change around them and navigating real loss. And that might be professional, that might be personal, that might be something having to do with our identity. It might be very tactical. There's people are having, the loss of income, loss of work coming in because of changes that are being made. And so understanding just that people do feel a lot of loss is, I think, an important point of understanding and compassion from the seat of the facilitator. So I wanted to start off just naming that. What I want us to think about is how do we see ourselves? How do we see ourselves in this sea of change and complexity and even of loss? How are we showing up? Who do we want to be when we are showing up in a room? And when I say a room, that could be a physical room, that could be a Zoom room, that could be a hybrid room, that could be a boardroom, that could be a place of religious worship. Like, who is walking into the room when you're walking into the room, and how do you see yourself? What is your purpose? And I wanted to offer a story and maybe a way to think about this. And the story goes is that I have been a lifelong athlete. Um, and I had the opportunity for about 4 years, starting with COVID. So probably about the summer 2020 to summer 2024, I had the opportunity to coach girls softball. This was for one of my kids who was on the team. Um, and then I got let go of being the softball coach because once my daughter hit high school, she didn't want her mom to be the softball coach anymore. Uh, it was a very loving, like it was a very loving firing of me. It wasn't like a bad, nothing wrong happened. She just, didn't want her mom to be the coach in high school, but also she felt that I was bringing my leadership coach too much to the table. Let me explain why. I have two rules as a softball coach. Rule number one, you must have fun. Now, I know that sounds very intense to have for a rule that you have to have fun, but meaning if it's not fun for you, or if it's boring, or if it's slow, let's find you a new sport, right? This should be enjoyable. This should be fun. But my second rule, which is a little bit more intense, how many of you know the rules of baseball or of softball? You can raise your hand or a virtual hand. Okay. So there is a situation that I'll just break down for you. When you get up at the plate and there are 3 balls and 2 strikes, okay, it's called a full count. If the pitcher throws you a bad pitch and you don't swing at it, you get to go to first base for free. You get to go to first base. It's like this amazing thing. If they throw you a strike and you don't swing at it and they call it strike, you're out. You're out. So I say to my girls, when you get up at the plate, okay, if there's a pitch and you think it looks good, but you don't swing at it because you are hoping to get walked and you're hoping to get that free base and you watch that third strike, you're not allowed to play in the next game. Because how you show up at the plate is how you show up in life. Are you playing to win or are you playing not to lose? And that's when my daughter's like, oh my God, stop with the leadership coaching, right? Like it's just a little too, I'm like, but I do want to say in my defense that there is a girl on the team who is writing her college essay on this concept. So I feel redemption. I feel actual redemption. Okay, so this is what I mean. How are you showing up at the plate? Are you playing to win? Are you playing not to lose? I want you to go down swinging. And I'm talking about this a lot with people because I do think there is this somewhat showing up on defense, of hedging, of hoping not to get out, of hoping it all works out, as opposed to like getting up at the plate and seeing where you have agency and where you have control and, and swinging for the bleachers if it looks good. if it looks good. So, how might we incorporate some of this mindset when we think about our own purpose? Who's walking into the room when we're walking into the room? How are we being? Not just what are we doing? And we spend so much time on the doing. What do I have to do today? What do I have to get done? What do I have to write? Like, what's my agenda? How am I going to get? What about the being? I mean, we're called human beings, right? We're not called human doings. We got to do the being of the being. And that is about making sure that we are walking in with the right mindset and really thinking about purpose, right? What what is our purpose? Okay. So I'd love to have us think about just for a minute. You can either speak to it or you can write it in chat. When you think about, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. When you think about for you right now, what's my purpose? And you can say that for now as your purpose as a facilitator, your purpose as a scribe, your purpose as a human, your purpose as a, you know, as a parent, as a partner, as a pet owner, as a friend, as a, right? It doesn't matter to me. But like what is coming up for you when you think about the question, what's my purpose? And again, you can either speak to it or if you're comfortable, just to put it in chat. Thank you, Brian. Mhm. Thank you, Marissa. Mm-hmm. Donald, I love illuminate. Wow.
Ray, do you mind if I read a couple of these for the
Please do.
recording? Okay.
Please do.
Supporting mission-driven leaders and teams move from chaos to clarity, to illuminate the power within so that we may take the next step on our evolutionary journey, to create processes for folks to work together where everyone can be seen, heard, and the work can move forward, to design gatherings of senior leaders to make decisions and move forward,
Mm.
create supportive structures and gatherings to help people create meaningful work and lives, sense maker to move others forward, be an advocate for our natural world,
Mm.
co-create spaces for connection and bridges and spread love.
Mm. Gorgeous. I love the verbs here. A lot of create, design, illuminate, advocate, co-create, support, hold. Great. Thank you. And, I would say, where does this live for you? What you just wrote down? Is it on a post-it note next to your computer? Is it on the wall? Is it in your pocket, in your facilitator kit with your amazing markers, which I know you have? Is there a note that, we shouldn't have to necessarily, it's good to take time out to think about that, but how do we keep that purpose front and center for us? Where can we see it visually? Is it your screensaver? So I'm a big believer in having objects around us that bring us back to purpose. I have them all over my desk. This is a gift someone gave me once about, it's just like beautiful marbles about, what I'm trying to spread in the world. I also have this that was gifted to me. Mhm. Don't be afraid to name the elephant in the room. Right here. Now, in our training room, when we do our module on this, we have an elephant that's about 6 feet tall. And we just walk into the room and we just place it in the middle of the room and we don't say anything. But I have a baby one next to me to remember. Don't be afraid of the hard stuff. Be the namer. Say the thing that someone else isn't going to say. Having our purpose around us, like we live it, we breathe it, it's in our head. I asked you about it, you wrote it right away in chat. But that's all nice, except when we're under stress and duress and purpose goes right out the window. So, how might we have that live somewhere? You don't have to tattoo it necessarily, but can it like actually be on our body or in our kits or in our purse or wallet or just something of in your visual field to remember what our purpose is, right? Any questions before we move on? Okay. So just want to move us to this second piece of purpose, which is around the purpose of facilitation, which we all know. I wanted to just share some language around that. Whenever people say to me, what is a facilitator or what is facilitation? So I always say to them a common definition you'll typically find, and this is just pulled from, Wikipedia or the encyclopedia or the, dictionary or ChatGPT, whatever it is, someone who works with group process to ensure meetings are run well and achieve a high degree of consensus. Like you typically find language around that when you're looking up facilitation. A more uncommon definition, someone who works the human magic in the room to evolve a set of attitudes and behaviors. Now, I love that. I don't necessarily say to clients, I'm going to come in and work the magic of your room because they might think I'm a little woohoo, but I believe this. I believe this to be true. And I think if anyone can understand how you work the magic in a room, it's this group who can like hear what's being said and hear what's not being said and artistically represent that at the same time is right, a whole other level. But this is the language that I like to use when I talk about facilitation. The act of guiding a group through process in real time and inspiring and directing productive change in persons, teams, and systems. Well-crafted facilitation creates infinite possibilities. What are the words, what are the words that jump out, if any, to you? Or what speaks to you in this amalgamation of words? What do you like here? You can just throw it in the chat. Guiding. Yeah. Inspiring. Possibilities. hmm Systems. Productive. Great. I love it. Keep it coming. Wendy, where are you? I see you. Wendy, can I call on you for a moment and say, talk to me about what compelled you about productive change?
Um, I've been working in a lot of small groups lately, and I've been thinking about what makes small groups go poorly and what makes small groups go well.
Yeah.
And I think when you put a bunch of people in the room, right, like how do you create spaces where everyone can contribute? And I'm thinking specifically like task-based work, right? You have a task you have to complete in 3 hours. It's an ambiguous task. No one really knows the process forward. And good facilitation says, okay, we have to get this thing done. We have 3 hours. Nobody's really an expert on this. What's our way forward?
Yeah.
And then you create structure out of seemingly nothing that allows the group to like productively move. And
Love it.
again, this like idea that like if you don't have a good facilitator, maybe that happens, or maybe the whole group just sort of like falls apart in a lot of different ways.
Mm, I love it. Thank you, Brian, for that context on Wendy. And Trent, I really appreciate what you're saying. This idea of systems is often what undermines or optimizes the efforts of persons or teams. Yeah. So I love many words in this definition, but the reason why I really like that, like what jumps out to me the most is this idea about inspiring and directing productive change. That when you are in a facilitated room, something has to change. A new feeling, a new behavior, a new thought, or new knowledge. What is different from when you entered the room and when you left the room? And when people don't feel that change, that's why they leave meetings and gatherings saying, I don't know exactly what just happened, but I do know that I just lost an hour of my life. No, not okay. Like never okay. And so this notion of the facilitator has this role not only in the design, but like, taking people through the process to be able to really mark what has changed, what is different for as a result of this experience. And another role for us comes at the very root of facilitator or facilitation. Anyone know what the root is of that word? Yes. To make easy, facile, French, I think also Spanish, right? To ease, to, as I like to say, like to shepherd, and to guide. And that's really what this is all about. That is really what this is all about. And so the second part of purpose is have us think about this question, right? Why is the practice of facilitation more vital now than ever? That it's always been vital, it's always been important, it's always been robust. There's something about this moment. There's something about this particular moment in time that just feels um, that feels even more vital or more relevant. So I'd love for us to take a minute. Thank you for answering here, but hold on, I have something even better. I've just put a link to a Google Doc. I want this to be like a destination experience. I want you to go somewhere. Okay, so I'd ask you to come to this Google Doc with me, and and you'll see here that slide. And I would love for you, if you're you can put your name or not, that's up to you, but to really think about this question, why now? And this is for us just tapping into the purpose of facilitation, but this is also for our outward facing, how we're talking to clients or prospects or stakeholders when we are making that case, articulating that case of why now, for the purpose of what? Why now more than ever do we need savvy facilitators who know how to guide productive change and be in the hardest of conversations? Why now? Let's see what you come up with. Mm, okay. And when you're done, just take a walk down. Just take a walk down the dock. Maybe take in what other people have said. Notice the words that are being repeated. Hmm. Mm. While we're finishing up, any reflections? Anyone want to take themselves off mute? And what are you seeing? What are you noticing, either about like the convergence or the divergence of what you're seeing here on this Google Doc? Any reflections? What are you noticing?
Complexity and division come up a couple times.
Yeah, I saw that word too. What else?
I'll add that I think those of us who do facilitation with groups are recognizing that because of the complexities we're seeing right now, because of the diversity of perspectives on things that we're seeing right now, people need help finding direction. And that's not necessarily answers, because there's maybe never a right answer, but at least what do I do next? What can I
Mm-hmm.
try out safely? It's not going to hurt me or hurt others.
It's a really big word right now. It's really important. Thank you.
It's all
So
about people.
go ahead.
It's all about people. It's like people connecting with people.
Yeah.
So like kind of just a human-centered
Yeah.
being.
Yeah. Absolutely. And at a time where many people are feeling undervalued or underappreciated, having people who put people first and who are human-centered is a big deal. It's a big deal. mean, I'm telling people even now that even the act of bringing people together for something that's facilitated is making a statement to your workforce or to you or your employees that you matter, that we're bringing you together to invest in you or to help you or to, develop you. That actually really matters. So I wanted us to do this in a Google Doc to look at some of that, like look at the language that's shared, look what's different, but also to give you a bunch of language here when you are talking to clients about the value or the purpose of facilitation, that this is what we should be talking about. This is what we should be talking about. One thing that I'll add that I don't know if um, I saw on here yet, but I'm seeing um, just really interesting wrestling with tech and with AI and wanting to make sure that we don't lose our connections, our ability to serve as thought partners and brain trusts and colleagues and networks, and to make sure that we don't, lose ourselves just in the, in the world of AI and lose those human touch points, and how facilitation helps bring people back in the room, again, whatever room that is, together for human connection. Human connection. Okay. Hmm. Ooh, Brian, that was timely. Okay, great. So, one more thing about purpose. This is now, we just started with our own personal purpose, this idea of the purpose of facilitation. Why now? Why more than ever? And like the third layer of purpose that I want to put out there is purpose as our North Star. Purpose as how do we know where we're going? And I always share that the author Lewis Carroll, who wrote Alice in Wonderland, would say, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. I love that when you're traveling around with a backpack. That is not facilitation. Facilitation is if you know where you're going, many roads can take you there. It's actually about claiming a destination. What is your purpose? What are you trying to do here? And when you know your purpose, the world of design is available to you. That's why I like to use transportation metaphors when I talk about facilitation. It's like Waze or Google Maps, right? Waze, you type in your destination and then it gives you all these different ways to get there. Do you want the scenic route? Do you want the tolls? Do you not want the tolls? Right? What are all the ways to get there? Which I really only recently realized that that's why it's called Waze. Really good name. Okay, what's your destination? All the different ways to get there. By the way, one fun fact. Um, Driving in Northern Virginia, I would like some reciprocal training about how, since I'm going to be spending a lot of time in Northern Virginia, I've never driven in Northern Virginia and not gotten lost. And the other day, I found myself on a road that Waze told me to get to that was like HOV light coming on, like someone took a picture of me because I was alone in my car. Was I in the wrong lane? Was I in like the paying HOV lane? Yes?
If I had to guess, it's probably 66, which is HOV depending on the time of day.
Okay. All right. My request is whoever's in Northern Virginia, I would like some good old-fashioned training on how to navigate the highways of Northern Virginia. I say this, I live in DC, like I'm not that far away.
It's
Okay.
just like Maryland without the potholes.
Okay. Okay, great. Amazing. So, designing towards purpose. So let's talk about that. Some of you, I know Marissa could probably teach us at this point, but the fundamentals for facilitation, the absolute fundamentals are the ABCs. These, if you haven't seen these before, these come right out of adult learning theory, although I don't think it should be adult learning theory because I think it's how anyone should learn, but essentially saying when you are designing a program, a meeting, a speech, a conversation, a curriculum, a workshop, whatever it is, you always start with the ABCs. The ABCs are A, how do I want people to feel? How do I want people to feel at the end of the session? Okay, so let's just throw it into the chat really quickly. In general, for the sessions you're facilitating or the things that you're doing, how do you want people to feel at the end? What's the emotion that you want them to have? What do you think? What do you want them to feel? Connected and motivated. Yes. Relief, clarity, energy, reflective, hopeful. I love it. Yes. Inspired. Yes to all of it. Energized. Yeah, that's how we want them to feel. And it's interesting because sometimes when I ask progress was made. Sometimes when I ask clients, how do you want people to feel? And they're like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? How do I want them to feel? I'm like, how do you want them to feel? Because they're so focused on what they want them to know and want them to be able to do. But the feeling is what drives and shapes all the other things. How do we want people to feel? How do we design toward that feeling? And it's really interesting here because often when I ask that question, I get these kind of, energized and motivated and they feel seen and they feel heard. But these are all very positive emotions. Sometimes we want people to feel a little tension on the strings, or what I call in my coaching practice, productive discomfort, right? Just enough discomfort to help people move forward. And the way that I explain it is I was a sports psychology minor in college. I'm going to teach you the entire minor right now. Okay? This is sports psychology. Anxiety is awesome for performance until it's not. That's it, people. 4 years. Okay? Anxiety is awesome for performance till it's not. So you've got basketball players, they run onto the court, everyone's going crazy, they're screaming. You see an absolute increase in performance. But if you're standing on the free throw line, and the game is on your shoulders. If you cannot contain that anxiety, you will choke. You will choke. So the whole process of sports psychology is healthy tension, is taking that anxiety, visualizing it, working with it so that it fuels performance and increases performance and doesn't shut you down or paralyze you in any way. It's the same thing with groups and teams. Sometimes there has to be a little bit of healthy tension, not that's going to have them shut down, but that's going to fuel the performance and that we shouldn't be scared of that. It's probably already in the room. How do we get it to a healthy place? That's the A. I then skip to the C. That's just how my brain works. Okay. The C is cognitive. What do we want people to know? What do we want them to understand? Is it a policy thing? Is it a protocol? Is it a change? Is it something in the marketplace? Is it something about, the product? Like what is the knowledge piece that they're walking away with? And and then finally, the B is the behavioral piece. What do we want people to be able to do at the end of this training, this workshop, this retreat, this meeting? What's the action piece? And the doing piece is either what do you want them to do in the session? They might want to they might want to vote, decide, determine, select, brainstorm, choose, or the behavior is what you want them to do as a result of the session. Let me just read this other fun thing about anxiety in sports. You only get anxious about things you think you can from rock climbing. You don't get scared of a climb. Oh, very good. Wendy, I really appreciate that. And also, we also only get anxiety about things that we care about. Like when someone goes to an interview and they're not nervous, that's a red flag for me, right? Because you probably don't care if you're going to get it or not. Like when we have those nerves or that anxiety, even for me, who I speak in public every day, and I love speaking in public, I want to feel that butterfly because it shows that I've got skin in the game. I care about this. And when those nerves come, here's what I do. I say, "Oh, there you are. I've been waiting for you. Was wondering where you were." I was just like in conversation with that anxiety because that's what I do. That's how I roll. And it means that I care and I want to do well. Okay. So A, B, and C. There is always all three. There is always all three. So let's just take a minute to think about something that's upcoming for you. It could be a facilitation, it could be a meeting, it could be a Christmas Eve dinner, whatever it is. Think about some gathering of humans, and I want you to sketch out an A, a B, and a C. How do you want people to feel? What do you want them to know at the end? What do you want them to be able to do? You can do this in any order you want. I always go ACB, or whatever is best for you. Okay. Anyone willing just to share their quick A, B, and a C? I'd love to hear one or two people. Who's ready?
You can
Brian, what
call
is
on me
yours?
if you want to.
Oh, I
I want
got
to know what
Rachel
Brian
first.
says.
Rachel first.
No, I was supposed to I don't know what Brian says, but I can go mine too. My A is calm and relief and focus. C is a plan, and D is the ability to like make the decisions and trade-offs to take action on that plan.
Great. Rachel, can you give us a word on who is this group or what's the purpose?
Solopreneurs doing business planning.
Amazing. Doing business planning or business cleaning?
Planning.
Okay. I was getting curious about the cleaning. Thank you. Great. Well done. All right. Brian, go ahead.
Sure. So a little context. This is the upcoming NOVA Scribes 10-year anniversary, which will be in the middle of January. And I want it, the A is I'd like it to be a bit of a celebration. I want it to be kind of like an end of year party with some New Year's vibes to it. Behaviorally, I want people to do kind of a gallery walk through all of the stuff we've done, 250 events, and also to connect with each other. I want it to feel like kind of a happy hour type thing.
Mhm.
And then cognitively, I want them to be able to have access to our back catalog of all of the events that we've recorded.
Nice. Amazing. I love it. Marissa, thank you for this. Marissa, quick follow-up question. Um, do they already know the priorities for 2026?
Hi. No, so I'm doing for the first time my retreat with my admin person, and it's going to be facilitated by another Georgetown facilitation grad, Jen Pelagia. And yeah, so we're going to be working. I have some ideas, but I want to get clear together and get alignment on what it is that we want to be focusing on and get clear on how we're going to do that, at least in the first 2 quarters of
Amazing.
2026.
Amazing. I asked that because I think that like the priorities for 2026 is actually also part of the C, like understanding and getting clear on what those priorities are. And then the B is more around, aligning, selecting, or kind of rating, prioritizing. That's more of the behavior. But to make sure that you are both clear on what those priorities are, that's more of the cognitive piece. Okay. Great. All right. I'm just looking at Wendy's. Wow, Wendy, you're so out of you even changed the ACB, like you changed the order. I love it. Great. Help find make lifestyle changing it. Ooh. Amazing. Stephanie, I just want to offer for you. So if your C is awareness of what's typically not understood by people, how might you make your B more connected to your C? In other words, should part of the behavior that you want them to do is help what's not being understood, help what's not being understood, make understandable to those people. Would that be a behavioral outcome that you would want? Just asking the question. You don't have to answer. So this is, oh, there you are.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Cool. Okay, so you were saying to kind of connect B and C a little differently.
Or that's just what came up for me. Like if your C is that you want them to be aware of what's typically not understood by people, is there anything to do with that? Like, are you trying to make them more aware or make people understand more? Is that a goal of
Yes.
yours? So
Yes, to make them more aware and it's basically inspire them for lifestyle changes and getting involved in changing the system.
Okay, great. Thanks. Thank you. So this is it. This is so basic and so profound at the same time. But when we go into meetings or spaces and we don't really know what's happening or what's going on, it's probably because someone hasn't done their ABCs. So this is like do not pass go without collecting $200 in Monopoly. This is do not enter a room and gather humans unless you have your ABCs. We need to honor people's time, right? We want our time to be honored. So this is the goalpost. This is the North Star, the A, the B, and the C. And the other way that I like to look at this is that purpose is our bouncer. It decides what comes into the room and what stays out of the room. So I want to say a few more things about the ABCs and then we'll talk about UVA and open it up. So a couple last things about the ABCs. The ABCs are these are your objectives, and there'll be more than one. If you're doing a multi-day session, each day, like the overall arc of the gathering has an ABC. Each day has ABCs, and each session has ABCs. And you think, oh, that sounds like a lot. This shouldn't take you very long to do. And if you're doing your right kind of immersion with your potential participants or students or stakeholders, you should be having them do this work for you. It's the first thing I ask my clients. How do you want people to feel? What should they leave knowing? What do you want them to be able to do? They should be partnering with you in the ABCs. And then your first slide of your deck, if you're using a deck or else you're scribing, is what they told you. Here's what you said you wanted, the A, B's, and C's. They feel listened to. You're co-creating an agenda. So your ABCs really are your goals, and they are the basis of your agenda. Once you have those North Stars, those A, B's, and C's, now you're figuring out what modalities, what icebreaker, what practice, what keynote, what breakout group. Then you're adding in all the ingredients. It's kind of like I won't work with I love to cook, but I will only cook where the recipe book has a picture. It has to have a picture. If it doesn't have a picture, I'm not interested. I want to know where I'm going, right? I want to know where I'm going. And then you can put in all the different steps and how, and how it works. By the way, I also don't like to cook if things have more than 3 to 4 steps in it, or if they have a verb that I don't recognize, like reduce. What does that even mean? It's math. I'm not going to cook with something if you tell me to reduce. But that was just an extra freebie I added in for you. Okay, so that is agendas and goals. Next thing, introduction. Your ABCs, you should be speaking your ABCs into the room for an introduction. That doesn't mean that I walk into a room and say, my effective objective is for you to feel seen. I won't say that. I won't talk like that. But I'll say, my wish for you in this session is to walk out with more confidence, some very specific tools around creating objectives, and that you will start to use this for every session that you design. That is an A, B, and a C. I am telling you what I want to gift to you and what I want you to get out of this. I'm telling you that I'm going to spend your time well, and I'm also telling you that I've been thoughtful in creating this for you. So you want to start off by telling people that you're going to spend their time well, and there's been thought put into this. Whether you're speaking your ABCs or they're projected in a slide, that's how we're opening up. The ABCs are also connected to ground rules. Or I don't call them ground rules, I call them agreements. Some people call them tools for engagement, operating principles, sort of the norms that we're agreeing to. But I just want to show you that link. If I said, okay, my effective objective for this session is I want everyone to feel safe and to feel like they can say the thing that they really want to say with no record. Like they feel safe and protected to speak their truth. That's how I want people to feel. What agreement or norm or, operating principle might we want to put forward to get us to that A? What do you think? You can throw it in the chat. What agreement might we put into place, or what norm or operating principle? What do you think? To create that feeling of safety. Modified Vegas rule. Confidentiality. Yeah, I was just typing that in too. So that's a big one. But being really clear about what confidentiality means. No name attribution to comments. We're not recording unless we get people's permission to record. Those kind of things. Assume positive intent. Yes, what happens in the room stays in the room. Great. All those things. When you start thinking like that, or maybe no interruptions, so people feel like they can get their full thought out before, being interrupted or, God forbid, attacked. So you're starting to see now the relationship between ABCs and your norm. So it's not just that thing you put up on a flip chart, like, let's be present. Let's, create a safe space, which, what does that even mean? This is now what it means. And making that connection. Then finally, the last piece that I want to say about purpose is the parking lots. I love that, Trent. Parking lots, bike racks, however you want to use it. Typically, we'll use parking lots and facilitation. If someone has a comment or a question that we want to get to, we can't get to it right now, but we want to get to it. We put it in a parking lot. I always attach someone's name to it so they see that like I've seen them, and I'm always writing it down. Why am I writing it down? Because Confucius said that even the palest ink is better than the sharpest memory. If I'm not writing it down, I'm going to obsess over trying to remember that thing, and then I'm not really present for you. And you know more than anyone, for those of you who are scribes, like your your brain is on like 570%. Like you don't really have a lot of room for distraction because you're listening so deeply. So, writing it down, getting it out there. But make sure in your design that you leave enough room to come back to the parking lot. What happens if someone says something or has a question that you're not going to get back to because it doesn't fit in your agenda and you don't want to go down that rabbit hole? Here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to have Donald ask a question and I say, well, Donald, we're not covering that today. That's not, it's not relevant to our session. That could like put Donald in an emotional bunker and he could check out. I don't want to get into a power play where I have the power to decide if Donald's comment or question is worthy enough to be in this room. That is like not a dynamic that I want to get into. So instead, Donald says his I don't know what that means, Brian, but it sounds interesting. So Donald says his comment or his question, and the ABCs are the decider of what comes in or what stays out. So if Donald is offering something that is within our ABCs, it's in. And if it's not, the ABCs are the filter through it that decides what comes in or what stays out. Right? It's like the moat around the castle. So when someone says something, I would lift up the point, you know what? It's a really interesting question. Right now, thanks, Dave. I'm getting right to that. Right now, we are deep in the ABCs and designs. If you want to hang for a break or a little bit, after, I'd love to explore that with you or figure out where we might need to put that on our next agenda. So I'm not dissing you. It's the ABC saying that's not for now, but I will always offer to explore it later. Now, people push back on me and say, okay, now you're taking your break or your extra time to entertain someone's comment or question that was irrelevant. And I said, yes, I am. Because if I spend those couple of extra minutes with that person, first of all, we're now allies. And second of all, I'm in the people business. It's not a big lift for me to spend those extra couple minutes for someone to feel seen and heard, and you never know what's going to come up in that conversation. I'm in the business of people. So no, I'm never going to schedule another call for right after this Zoom session because you never know. And you want to leave a little bit of room to connect with people about things that matter to them, even if they don't fit in the ABCs. So before we move on, if there are any questions about this, anything of purpose that we've talked about, our personal purpose, the personal purpose of facilitation, the purpose of any particular session. Any thoughts or comments? Okay. Then I'll just transition us now to say that part of my personal purpose in the world is to create inspiring and really thoughtful programs that can train facilitators and help them be the best version of themselves. I think that anyone who gathers humans is a facilitator. And they just don't know it, right? Like whether you're having a weekly meeting for someone or you're doing the kind of work that you're doing, when we gather humans together, we can be in a facilitator's role. So I think the world should be trained up on this skill. And I've spent the last 10 years developing a program to do just that. So in my own business, in my own work, I'm doing this in short form or longer forms for any kind of company you can imagine, even one-on-one individually. But I love to be also anchored in an academic institution, partnering with an academic institution to give more of the executive certificate in facilitation, which is much more cohort based. So I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes talking to you about this program, see if you have any questions. This is the certificate in facilitation that had been housed for the first 16 cohorts at Georgetown University at the School of Continuing Studies. And we have now moved to the University of Virginia in Northern Virginia in Fairfax, so not in Charlottesville. They have this absolutely gorgeous state-of-the-art facility in Northern Virginia. And that's where we're going to be housed. And our first cohort is launching in March 2026. So just to give you a sense of what the program is, well, this is really what I just said. If you work with people, you facilitate. So this is about really looking at the craft of facilitation and how it works in all the spaces and places. And because it's so broad in that way, we have such a wide range of people who are coming to our programs. So we have very skilled facilitators who are coming to upskill or just to be able to be the learner again, like our very own Brian Tarallo, who's going to be a part of cohort one, who has actually taught for us at Georgetown and is now putting himself in the place of a student because wants to, well, I'll let you speak later to why you want to be doing it. I don't want to speak for you. We have many, many facilitators, coaches, and consultants. We have people who are entering the field. In this cohort one, just to give you a sense, we have a special education teacher. We have someone who runs a democracy institute at a very prestigious university. We have a senior development director who creates fundraising gatherings and works with donors. We have people from across many different political spectrums. So it's really, really interesting crew. We have a superintendent who's coming to this cohort who has to do a lot of high stake gatherings. So it's a very diverse group coming from many different kinds of fields. And really, wherever people are in their skill level, it is about upping their skill level and helping to take it the to the next level. So these are our learning objectives for the program that you can see. And and I'll just go into each one. And again, I'm going to send you this PowerPoint so you'll have it. The way that it's working, it's a hybrid program. So we have 3 days in person, and then we have 4 online labs over the next 8 to 10 weeks. And then the last 3 days are in person. So it was really important to do this program as hybrid because so many people are doing this work virtually. And it's also for us, we're constantly going back and forth between what we're doing in the room. Here's how you convert it virtually. What you're doing virtually, here's how you convert it to the room. Our first module in person is about cohort building. It's about identity. It's about presence. Where do we go big in the room? Where do we get small? What triggers us? Implicit bias. How do we get other people's presence when the average adult attention span right now is in less than 3-minute increments? Sharpening our listening skills, sharpening our ability to ask questions, working on our instinct to always give the answer before asking the question, seeing what's in the room and seeing and hearing what's not being said. All of that is around our first module while learning lots of different facilitation modalities. The online labs are much more around design, going through a pretty rigorous design cycle and thinking about everything from the beginning of an engagement to immersion interviews to stakeholder mapping to ABC objectives to wireframing to prototyping to ideating to reiterating. Using AI tools right now, using all the tools that we have at our dispense, how to harvest the creative capital in the room, creative problem solving, all that like yummy, yummy stuff that comes along with design. And I think that this is really interesting for people because a lot of people come to this program saying, I've been a facilitator for a long time. I've never been formally trained. So I've just been driving without a license and doing it intuitively, which is awesome because you already have those instincts. And then learning a methodology and the language behind it tends to be very liberating for people. Our last 3-day module that is in person is all about navigating complexity, ambiguity, difference, cross culture, challenging participants, interventions. We have a big module called The Joy of Working with People. And that is, you can be a great facilitator and a great designer, and then human beings show up. And the cast of characters that show up in every room. And how do we handle that? How do we navigate that? How do we hold steady when the heat is on in the room or things get swirly? So that's really what our last in-person module is about. And you come out with a executive certificate, a ton of tools. We probably practice at least 50 different modalities and tools and exercises throughout the program. And you come out with a different kind of a community. We have 16 cohorts to go before this. If I tell you that the WhatsApp groups and how one person puts in, I need an exercise for this or a text for this, and it's like fasten your seatbelt because you're going to be drinking from a fire hose. Just an incredibly generous community. I imagine it's probably something like NOVA Scribes of thoughtful, generous practitioners who just want to help and support one another. So the cohort experience, Marissa was actually a part of like our original first cohort and still to this day works with and has incredible relationships with many of those people. Um, I will just close this part by saying our learning structure. You'll probably never hear anyone talking for more than 10 minutes without practicing something. There are several practicums where you're in much smaller groups, either facilitating and getting coaching and feedback, presenting designs, navigating a tough conversation with a faculty member in a smaller group. So we really see this as lab work. If you can do it in this room, in this situation, you can do it anywhere. There's one-on-one coaching. We have a whole faculty of facilitators who are modeling different kinds of facilitation, and it's a very diverse community. These are the dates for 2026. So you can see the first 3-day in person, and then we space out our online labs about every 2 to 3 weeks, and our last 3-day module. And I'll just close this part with this question that wraps up not only my feeling about UVA, but just purpose in general. This gorgeous line from one of Mary Oliver's poems that says, what is your plan to do with your one wild and precious life? It's from a poem that she wrote called The Summer's Day. And, I guess I just really think that I try and live my life around this bumper sticker that haunts me and motivates me every day of my life, which says life is not a dress rehearsal. And we get one shot at this life, and we are so privileged. We are so privileged to be able to do this work of helping people and shaping people. Um, we just have to keep learning in forums like this, learning in forums like this program, anything we can do to learn and grow and help model the way. So I'll pause there. I know we only have a few minutes left, but I'm happy to stay on longer as well. Any thoughts, questions, ideas about anything we spoke about or the program? Brian, do you want to just say a word about what's compelling you to join now?
Oh boy, I was wondering if you're going to ask me that. Okay, so let me see. So there's like 200 reasons I'm doing it. I think that the number one reason gets back to that doing and being. My method of facilitation tends to be a little bit more around the doing side of things. And so what really convinced me of this is that Rae, in her grace and her generosity, called me up and said, "Here's why I think that you would really like get a lot out of this." And it was really more about the being side. I don't want to be a coach. I use coaching tools all the time. Coaching is not for me. I certainly don't want to be a therapist. I don't want to spend all my time in the human work. I like the task stuff, which is the doing side. And at the same time, I felt in myself that I really needed to round out my skill set. And so when she called me up and said, "Hey, you've told me that this is something that you're interested in. This is a good opportunity for it." I was on board. And truth be told, I was looking seriously at the Georgetown program for all of the reasons: the cohort, the structured approach, the networking that's involved with that. And I was seriously thinking about that one. And when it moved over to UVA
You're like,
and the
done.
timing worked and the price worked, I was like, that's it, I'm sold.
Great. Any other questions I can answer about anything? Oh, Renana's signing up too.
Yay! Awesome.
Amazing. Well, I want to wish everyone a special holiday season with a lot of light and illumination. I will send the deck out to you, and I'm putting my email here. If you have any other questions about anything, I'd be so happy to be in dialogue with you and learn more about your work, which I'm sure would be very inspiring to me. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.